Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's June 26th. Have you ever needed to move a bumblebee nest? Today we discovered one under the basketball hoop. To move it, I waited until dusk. Then I grabbed a terracotta pot that was a little bit bigger than the nest and my pizza peel from the kitchen. I put the pot over the nest and then I slid the pizza peel under the pot. As I was carrying the nest, the buzzing sound from inside the pot was tremendous. Here's today's brevities. It was on this day in 1797 that Charles Newbold patented the first cast iron plow. Farmers were worried that the iron would affect the soil. And it was on this day in 1880 that the Chicago Tribune ran an article about the herbarium of Dr. Charles Christopher Perry. It contained 15,000 species, and it was being presented to the Davenport Academy of Sciences. 30 years earlier, in 1850, Perry had written to the botanist John Torrey. He said, I found a new species of pine growing in sheltered places about the bluff. Its characters are so unique. If new, I wish it, with your permission, to bear the name Pinus torreyana. Besides the Torrey pine, Perry discovered the Colorado blue spruce on Pikes Peak in 1862. And 52 years ago today, in 1967, the Rolling Stones compilation album Flowers was released. And it's the anniversary of the death of the ornithologist Margaret Morse Nice, who died on this day in 1974. She developed a close bond with nature, especially birds, which was deepened with her hobby of gardening and frequent walks. In 1939, Nice wrote these words in the opening pages of her book, The Watcher at the Nest. The land was defended and won by age old ceremonies and fierce battle. Their conflicts with each other and their neighbors, their luck with their wives, and devotion to their babies, the fortunes of their sons and daughters, grandchildren, and great grandchildren, all these were watched season in and season out until tragedy overtook them. It's hard to believe when you hear that passage that Nice is referring to song sparrows. She was a scientific outsider. She conducted all of her groundbreaking studies at home in her backyard in Ohio while she was busy raising a family of 5 children. In Unearthed Words, here's a little poem about June by Annette Wynne called Why Was June Made? Why was June made? Can't you guess? June was made for happiness. Even the trees know this, and the breeze that loves to play outside all day and never is too bold or rough like March's wind, but just a tiny blows enough. And all the fields know this is so. June was not made for wind and stress. June was made for happiness. Little happy daisy faces show it in the meadow places, and they call out when I pass, stay and play here in the grass. June was made for happy things, boats and flowers, stars and wings, not for wind and stress. June was made for happiness. Today's book recommendation is 100 Flowers and How They Got Their Names by Diana Wells. Diana knows that every flower tells a story, and she's collected some of the very best stories about our flowers. Once in an interview, Diana said, if we fail to remember the history of our flowers, we know them less. And to trace their link with us is to make them part of our lives. Here's a good example of Diana's storytelling ability when it comes to flowers. This one's about lilacs. Here's what she said. American settlers planted lilacs in front of farmhouse doors, not for usefulness, but for beauty, while they struggled to make a new life in the wilderness. Sometimes the slowly cleared fields, the houses, and the walls were no more permanent than those who made them. But the lilacs remained by the ghost porches, leading nowhere. Today's garden chore is to plant some sunflower seeds. I'm seeing posts about sunflower seeds pop up all over social media. And the main question that people have is it too late to plant them? Well, June is still prime planting season. As with your edibles, you can succession sow your flowers. Depending on the variety, sunflowers will bloom in about 55 to 75 days after planting, so 60 days is a good average. By planting in the back half of June, you'll have a wonderful second flush of blooms, and you'll be able to take cuttings on Labor Day weekend. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. On this day in 1922, the Nevada State Journal published an article out of San Francisco. The headline caught my attention. It says, "Laws are changed to help gardener." The gardener in question was famed landscape expert and creator of San Francisco's Eden, the beautiful Golden Gate Park, and his name was John McLaren. McLaren had come to America from Scotland, and for over 30 years, he had served as the park superintendent in San Francisco. For many years, he and his wife lived in a little lodge deep in the park. In 1922, McLaren had turned 70. The law said that McLaren would have to go on the pension list and give up his lodge. But McLaren had performed miracles in the park system in San Francisco, and his book, Gardening in California, had become a standard textbook. In recognition of all he had done, San Francisco changed its civil service law so that McLaren would not have to retire, and the article said that the Board of Supervisors had voted him a 70th birthday present of a 50-cent increase in salary. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.